Good morning, everyone. This is Joey. I posted a couple of weeks ago that I went to Canada for an A&W burger and a root beer, and I told a few people in person about my experience, and they said you should share this and put this on YouTube as a follow up to your other video. And so I started out my other video saying that I was going to a place and that I couldn't film part of it for a reason. That's when I crossed over into the border. They do not like you filming there for obvious reasons. And to just reconnect everyone briefly to the background, I had been on a diet and trying to get all of my blood levels straight and lose some weight for a nutritionist appointment that I had about 3, 4 weeks ago now. Time flies when you're having fun. Um, and losing weight, but a few weeks before my nutritionist visit, in normal conversation, it came up about root beer and about burgers and how A&W really has really good burgers and stuff. And it just put a craving on me, and I said, I've got to have that. And I looked it up, and the closest one was about 130 miles away, about 100 miles away if you go straight as the crow flies, but using roads about 130 miles away in Canada. And so I said if I do good on my nutritionist appointment, and I did, that was going to be my treat for myself. And I told people beforehand, this is what I'm planning on doing, and some people laugh, oh, you're crazy, that's funny. We had a big joke about it, and so I got the good nutritionist report. My wife was visiting family that week, so I put her on a plane, kissed her goodbye, and I will, see you later. And told her I'm going to get I forgot my passport, and I said I'm going to go get my passport, and then I'm going. So I did grab my passport, gassed the truck up, and headed up north on 95. And thinking about this is going to make a great story, but again, everybody thought I was crazy, and we laughed about it. Well, when you get to the border, you know who doesn't think it's funny? The border guards. So I'm in line. I drive up. When it's my turn, I hand her my passport. And she says, what are you coming into Canada for today? And I said, I came for an A&W burger and a root beer. Silence. I got complete silence. She looked at me. She's like, no, really. I'm not lying to you. Why? I explained the entire situation to her. She looked at my passport for about a minute, then told me to drive and pull my truck to the side. Told me where to park. And I had noticed when I was in line that when they pulled people over to park, they would give them a little yellow, about a Postit note, maybe a little bit bigger than a normal Postit note. They didn't give me one of those. And so I'd seen people get out of their cars and go into this little building, but no one told me to get out of my car. So I stayed in my car. About 10 minutes later, man finally comes up, asked me to step out of the vehicle to bring my keys with me. So I stepped out around the front of my vehicle. He had me put all of my belongings on a tray, and he patted me down and again asked me what I was doing. And again, I explained it to him. Nutritionist visit, A&W, really want a burger and a root beer. And he goes, uh-huh. Are you meeting anyone there? No. Are you transporting anyone there? The usual litany of questions that they ask you. No. I'm just answering all of this. Where do you live? What do you do for a living? And then he says, okay, Mr. Harris, it's going to take me a few minutes to search your vehicle. Is everything unlocked? I said, yes. He says, put the keys on the dash and then you can wait inside while I search your vehicle. So I go inside and I can see him. I sit there, little chairs there, and again, other people have their little yellow sheets, and they're going up and answering a few questions. And in like 2 or 3 minutes, they're done and they're leaving, and I'm staying there. And he has walked completely around my truck. I'm watching all of this. I'm about 30 yards away. He's completely walked around my truck, searching it, looking things, looking under the wheelbase, all of that, underneath everything. Then he starts in the driver's side door, looks at things, looks under the seat, goes around the front, lifts up the hood, and then puts that back down. Passenger side goes through the glove box, back seat goes through the little trash thing that I have for trash and that sits in the back of one of the seats, goes through the bed of my truck. I have a liner over it, so he opens that up, takes everything out, looks through it again on the other side, and he's finally done. And I'm thinking that he's going to come in, either give me my yellow sheet or say that I can go. He comes back in and he has my cell phone. I had my cell phone attached to my car so I could use the Apple AirPlay because my wife had reached her layover spot and was asking me how things were going, and we were communicating back and forth with that. And he comes in, he doesn't come directly into the front. He comes through the side and goes around the back, and I'm still thinking he's going to hand me my yellow sheet and I can go, or just tell me that I can go. Instead, he goes into this little area off to the side, and he says, Mr. Harris, can you come in here, please? And they put me in an interrogation room. It's a little room that has windows where you can see out, but there are mirrors on the other side so no one can see in after you go in and sit down. And now I'm worried because I am in Canada. This man has my passport. I am stuck. If he says, you must surrender your passport now, I can't get back to the United States. I don't know if this is all real or not, but that's what's going through my head right now. And so I sit down and he says, is there anyone that you have spoken to about this trip that you're taking? And it's like he put quotation marks around the word trip, just using his words, just using the tone of his voice. And I explained, yes, my wife is traveling. We're originally from the southern United States. I'm from North Carolina. She's from Virginia. She's flying back home to be with her family. And since she was flying and I was traveling, we had messaged back and forth. And he says, would you mind unlocking your phone for me? And he hands me my phone, and I unlocked it and brought up the messaging, the text that we had been communicating back and forth. He looks over that. He says, have you texted anyone else, messaged anyone else about this? And I said, no, sir. Do you use any other messaging apps other than the message app on your phone? And I said, no, sir, not really. I said, I've got the messaging and talking feature on Snapchat, but I don't really use that. Occasionally I will message someone on that, and I also have Facebook Messenger, mainly that I use for work, but I don't regularly use that unless it is for work. I just use text. And so he looks at my phone for the longest time, and he still has my passport. And now I'm thinking I'm going to be put in a Canadian prison, all for the love of a cheeseburger and a root beer. And the only thing I could think of was, I hope they're as polite as the media has made them out to be, even in prison. And about another 2 or 3 minutes passes, and he says, "Okay, I'm done. Here you go. Here's your passport. Here's your phone. I put your phone on private private mode, airplane mode, rather. I do that anytime so that I'm not sending out anything accidentally on your behalf. Have a good day and enjoy your cheeseburger." And he let me go. And I did enjoy that cheeseburger. Now, all of that part is on the video, and you can go back and watch that, and I would encourage you to do so. I will also say this: anyone who's ever been to Canada with me knows that I am constantly harassed at the border. Either somebody that looks like me or has a similar name to me is on some sort of a watch list. But it's always going from Canada back into the United States. And now I've been in Canada. I got my burger and my root beer. And I know I'm going to get harassed coming back. Was prepared for it. Was not prepared for it going up there, which I got it. And so I'm like, oh, here we go. So I wait in line, and I get up, and the man asks me what I'm doing there as he takes my passport. Now, I have to say, I think the main reason that they let me go on the other side, I forgot to mention this, was that I still had all of my paperwork from my nutritionist visit still in my truck, and the man read that. He said, it checks out, your story checks out. So I had that at least in my favor. And so he says, "What was your visit for in Canada today?" And so I told him. And he's like, "Excuse me?" And so I told him. And then he goes, "How was it?" I said, "It was absolutely fantastic." And he goes, "Oh, that's good." And he goes, "I had to check the back of your truck. Would you mind opening it for me?" I said, "It's unlocked, sir. All you had to do is open it up. And I have 2 large laundry detergent containers in the back that's filled up with snow melt, ice melt, that my father-in-law made for me, put in there for me. It also helps with traction in the winter. And a cargo box full of like winter supplies." And so he asked me what was in the box, and I told him, and he said, "Okay." And then he asked me my name, what I did for a living, where I lived, and then asked me if I had been to mainland China in the last 6 weeks. And I said, "No, sir, I haven't." He goes, "Enjoy your day," and handed me back my passport. So that's, as Paul Harvey used to say, is the rest of the story of my trip to Canada. And so I hope you all enjoyed it. Go out and make it a great day.